Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that it cannot win the war with Russia on its own, and the West will inevitably have to become involved. He said NATO must rethink its refusal to impose a no-fly zone, which he said was vital to stop Moscow's bombardment of Ukraine.
It is important to know that if Ukraine falls, all those troops will be at the borders of your countries, NATO members' borders, Lithuania, Poland and so on. And there will be the same problem there, and there will be a second round of testing because there will also be provocations.
Mr. Zelensky has spoken on the phone to President Biden. He said they'd agreed on the need to stop Russian aggression as soon as possible. Ukraine says Russia has attacked the main television tower in the capital Kyiv, leaving 5 people dead. Social media footage showed smoke billowing up from the steel tower. The attack took some broadcasts off air and damaged a nearby memorial to the victims of the Nazi Holocaust. Ukraine's defence minister warned that Russia was planning to disrupt communications and then give fake information about a Ukrainian capitulation. Lise Doucette is in Kyiv.
Actually, curfew just came into force again, but even when there's not a curfew, people are dropping underground to basements, to bomb shelters, to bunkers, especially after that warning from Russia's defense minister saying that they're going to hit 2 security installations. The hitting of the TV tower also reminds us, if we needed to be reminded, about the cruel miscalculations and mistakes of war. They went for the TV tower, they hit the Baban Yar Holocaust Memorial, where thousands of Jews were massacred by the Nazis, and yet President Putin calls his special military operation a denazification campaign.
US defence officials say Russia's operation has been slowed by Ukrainian resistance and some of their troops have surrendered, but the crisis is still grave. In its latest assessment of President Putin's invasion, the Pentagon said Russian forces did not yet control the skies, even after 6 days. The major industrial economies have agreed on a coordinated release of oil stockpiles after Russia's invasion of Ukraine pushed the price of crude oil over $100 a barrel. David Bamford has this report.
The International Energy Agency, representing the world's key industrial consumers, agreed to deploy 60 million barrels from its stockpiles to reassure global oil markets there will be no shortfall in supplies because of the Ukraine conflict. Half will come from the US Strategic Petroleum Reserve, with the rest from countries in Europe and Asia. Analysts say intervention was vital, with the fuel market already disrupted by the aftermath of the pandemic, even before Russia's military intervention.
David Bamford with that report. You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has said that China, a key Russian ally, has offered to help mediate a ceasefire with Moscow. Mr. Kuleba said he had a constructive telephone conversation with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Chinese state television, reporting the talks, made no specific mention of a mediation offer. Sporting sanctions against Russia are widening, with governing bodies from world athletics, tennis, cycling and ice skating all imposing bans. Athletes from both Russia and Belarus, which is helping President Putin with his invasion of Ukraine, will be barred indefinitely from international competition. In tennis, national teams, but not individuals, will be cast out of leading tournaments, as Russell Fuller explains.
The prospect of the new world #1 Daniil Medvedev being prevented from competing on tour was always a remote one, but a statement from all governing bodies does stress that those from Russia and Belarus can play on at this time. As their nationalities will be removed from scoreboards and websites, Ukraine's Elina Svitolina says she is now happy to play Russia's Anastasia Potapova in Monterrey later. October's Kremlin Cup in Moscow has been suspended, and with their ITF membership also frozen, as things stand, Russia will not be able to defend their Davis Cup and Billie Jean King Cup titles in November.
The Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he won't impose any economic sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. He said he wanted to maintain good relations with all the governments of the world. Ukraine's ambassador to Israel is calling on Israeli officials to stop refusing entry to refugees from his country. Yevgen Kornichuk said dozens of Ukrainian nationals arriving at Ben Gurion Airport are being detained if they can't provide bonds of up to $6,000. Mr. Kornichuk told reporters that Ukrainians saved the lives of many Jews during World War II and that Israel had a moral duty to help his people now. That's the latest BBC News.